And welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And, folks, we got a great show coming at you. We're going to talk about the tariffs that President Trump is putting down. And we're going to take a look at some of the members of Congress and how they're crying foul now. So if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know. You're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. I'm your host, Pastor David. Come on in. I'm your host, Pastor David. Thank you. And folks, I want to welcome you to the show, but first let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior, Yahshua of Nazareth. I want to welcome all the people to the show that's been listening, new listeners, and we are getting ready to go to the new platform. So just welcome. Folks, today I want to talk a little bit about the tariffs that we're seeing that President Trump is using. See, we have to understand something. Nobody was worried about any tariffs. Nobody was worried about anything other than totally surviving under the Biden administration for 4 years. After the illegal invasion, with the wars, Afghanistan, you name it, all the crime and corruption, the illegals brought, the fact of the matter, Joe Biden made backdoor deals with China, balloons floating across America. I mean, not only did we see the disrespect from other countries, but it was allowed by this government because it was weak. Joe Biden and all the other oligarchs who was running the country, because let's face it, to the American people and patriots across this country, Joe Biden never ran this country. He didn't run the country because Joe was totally incapacitated. And it's only right that the American people need to bring these folks up on charges on who allowed this to happen, because over the past 4 years, we saw our country become the armpit and the butt pit of all the other countries. We was giving away millions and trillions of dollars to people through USAID, the Department of Education, and all of these other agencies that's been robbing the taxpayers blind. We saw Democratic leadership through the energy EPA get insider trading on stocks and all sorts of illegal things under the Biden administration and the Obama administration. We've seen the ethics and integrity of this country go down the tubes under the leadership of the Democrats. And so when President Trump got this country, it was in hell of a shape. Everything was upside down. Our schools, children not learning nothing. We were spending money on transgendering rats, money given away to Democratic people like Stacey Abrams. Everything that was bad got handed to him on a platter, and now they're saying, fix it. But at the same time, the Democrats now are using psychological warfare to make the people think that what President Trump is not the correct way to bring us back from the brink of destruction. So I'm talking to the American people and patriots across this country. We have to take a look at what happened the previous 4 years after President Trump was cheated out of the election. Because when he was in office the first time, this country had a different feel. We had our companies here. Everything was booming. Gas prices was down. They was drilling for oil. We was becoming self-sufficient. That wasn't good enough. And you would think if the Democrats got into office, they had something to better the country with. They did not better this country. They made this country worse with 3 wars, corruption, lying and stealing, invasion, paying people to invade our taxpayer dollars. Folks, so we would have to be totally stupid to think that all of this rhetoric that the Democrats are saying now, because most of them have gotten caught through Doge, Maxine Waters, Hakeem Jeffries, all of them have been stealing taxpayers' money. And now that Doge has found out that they're stealing it, all they have left to the American people and patriots across this country, the only thing that they can do now is try to use President Trump as a racist. I'm so tired of hearing that. Joe Biden was the grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. Joe Biden created the crime bill that got y'all children locked up right now. They're trying to energize black people and get black people to get emotional to say, well, hey, Trump is a racist. But did you forget what Joe done did the past 4 years? That's why I'm telling the American people and patriots, we have to remember January 6th. Remember all the black men that's been locked up in jail since 1973, since Larry Hoover. Remember Jeff Ford, black people. Remember the people in our community that's being locked up because of an unjust system. Y'all mamas going to the jailhouse leaving book stuff on the books because your son got locked up because of the RICO. Oh, he didn't do it, but somebody said his name and he did it. So we should rally around President Trump, who have experienced the same thing. 33 charges. They came after him financially. They came after him. They tried to kill him twice. So let me tell you something. I wouldn't believe a damn thing what the Democrats are pushing right now. Nothing. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to watch this economy, and I'm going to let President Trump do his thing. And that's what I'm telling the American people and patriots. Let us not get caught up in this racism talk, in this foolishness to young black people across the country who don't listen to what these people are saying. Because the same people who are saying that Trump is a racist and that these tariffs are no good are the same people that was in charge the last 4 years that opened up the border, that started giving money to people to do experiment on rats with transgenders. Listen, y'all better think about it. So this psychological warfare ends. Don't listen to that crap. Be patient and let him continue to put these tariffs in, because now that we have a real president in office, the other foreign countries know they don't have a walk in the park and they can take our taxpayer dollars and not put nothing back into this country. Now that we got a real president, he's bringing the country, our companies back with these tariffs, and they'll come back to boom our economy instead of being overseas and getting all the gravy and then taking taxpayer dollars and not putting nothing back in this country. And in saying that, I'm gonna bring my co-host in. Hey Doc, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
And I'm kind of fired up, Doc, because you know, I'm looking at our economy the way it was 4 years ago.
Yes.
And when they got it, they turned this country completely upside down to the end of COVID, the lying. You know, now most of them are being brought up on charges because they're saying they knew about the side effects, about the application. So all of this stuff is being uncovered now. And that's why I'm saying to the American people, let us take a chill pill and remember where we was at before Trump got into office.
Yeah.
How now he has already cleaned the border up. There was no barely any crossings since this past month. Since he's been in office, he have gotten a lot of terrorists, all these illegals out that's been he's cleaning the country up. And that's what I'm saying to the American people and patriots across this country. Stop listening to the rhetoric of what the Democrats are saying, because they're the ones who put this country in jeopardy by opening our borders, selling documents, allowing China and everybody else to dictate what happened into America, the culture war with the transgender stuff. President Trump is trying to make this country what it used to be and let the American people have a voice because the government works for us. Your thoughts, Doc?
Yeah, I think people should probably look at SPARS 2025 and also Event 201. Both of those documents will tell a lot about where we're at right now because Donald Trump was the anomaly. Things were not supposed to turn out the way they're turning out now, according to their game plan or according to what they were. I don't want to call it war gaming, but they were really looking at how the country would react pre and post COVID. They
Yes.
really wanted to see the reaction of the country. And if you look at SPARS 2025, it actually says that right now we're supposed to have a female president and all of the
Yep.
policies that she would be putting in and how she would be mentored by the previous president that was in office. And so if you really want to see how things are really, well, what they war gamed, how they should go compared to where they are now, that's why they're having such a fit, because now they really were not expecting for Donald Trump to go in at the rate and speed with the team that he has. They really thought that they could bog him down in the courts, which they're still doing like they did in his first term. And because he was trusting people that were advising him, he didn't move the way he's moving now. Now he's got people that are like, no, sir, these people are lying to you. You need to, push forward. And as he's pushing forward and things are getting done, a lot of the American people are starting to see just how bad the Democrat Party has thrown off the course of the American public. I mean, right now, the Democrats are just in free fall. They are trying everything that they can do to save their party. And I don't know what else they can do right now because they're in destruction mode, in my opinion. That's where they're at.
Well, Doc, I'm glad you said what you said because I want the American people and patriots across this country to think about this. You think about after Joe Biden got in and this SPARS thing that you're talking about, their agenda was to be able to force transgender on us while they committed the wars, as they continue to take money under the table. They wanted to break the American people will. They wanted to break the spirit of us being proud to be Americans. And they wanted us to throw our livelihoods in the trash and allow them to incorporate these new lifestyles to sodomize our children psychologically and make them think that there's something that they're not. This whole agenda, it unfolded. It started with Obama, but it unfolded with the beginning of COVID because that's when they started putting things in place so that they could make this push to the American people of patriots across this country. This all was planned. They had no other choice but to steal the 2020 election and make the American people think that they actually won. Joe was sick. He did not govern this country. It was all the other people behind the scenes that did it. And so just think about this to the American people and patriots across this country. Just think if they had been able to steal another election. Just think if Kamala Harris got into office, this country would be in turmoil because they would allow the illegals to start a war inside our borders.
Yes.
And that's what's the plan. They was going to start a war inside our borders, in addition to the other 2 or 3 wars, all the stuff that they gave Afghanistan, and America was going to be destroyed from within. Yeah, that's what that move was.
Yeah, it's killing me. I mean, along with, people that they are saying, well, that person, they're illegal, but they shouldn't be in El Salvador. They need due process. Okay, to the people in the back row, hear me. When you've committed a crime and you've come across our border illegally and you are here illegally, guess what? We can ship you off now. We have a place to send you, and we can send you to El Salvador with some of the most hardened criminals who were also here illegally. Don't get caught here. You need to go home. You need to leave because you've committed a crime. You and your children and your children's children, if that's how long you've been here. The last person they were talking about, I guess he'd been here for 10 years. He'd been here for 10 years illegally. One of the heads of MS-13, a very dangerous gang that everybody's heard of and knows about, and they're saying that this person needs due process. Are you kidding me right now? But that's
Well,
what they're fighting for.
but you know what, Doc, and that's really a sad thing because I don't see how, like we are here in Illinois, Governor Pritzker studied finding ways to try to house the illegals. His study trying to find the ways that he can get them here so that he can put them in place to change their identity. It is totally against the law to aid and abet criminals. And it's clear that that's what they're doing. They're coming against the federal government, but yet they're still taking federal funds and doing what they got to do, man, and lying to the people. And I mean, all sorts of things that are happening right now in America, because this is the undertow. The undertow is this: even though Trump is in office, they're still trying to undermine him by doing things and saying things and trying to invigorate the American people to make them think that he's not doing the correct thing that he was doing.
Yeah. And they are taking away Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security from illegal people.
Yes.
Okay. Who shouldn't be getting it in the first place. Yes. They're taking food stamps from illegal people, housing from illegal people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm prefacing that with illegal because that's who had been benefiting these past 4 years. They were just buying votes.
Yes, they were.
Bottom line, they were buying votes. And now, there's a lawsuit that the Democratic Party has actually filed against the administration because President Trump went through and he put in an executive order, the Preserving Protection, the Integrity of American Elections executive order. So he put that in place because he was really calling the states in our electoral system to say, hey, you need to make sure that the people that are voting in these elections are legal citizens. Yes, people do come through the immigration process properly. They get their citizenship properly. Then they are eligible to vote. But just because somebody came across our border and you decided in whatever state they're in to give them an ID or driver's license does not give them the right to vote. And that's the difference. And he had to put that executive order in place to call people to like, hey, you need to be here legally.
And Doc, you know what? You are so correct. And we have to think about this. To the American people and patriots across this country, this is our country. We were born here, whether you're a naturalized citizen or not. This is our country, and things should be for us first. Things need to be in a structure. So when you start talking about, first of all, having an invasion and having the taxpayers to pay for it, and then you're talking about taking resources from the American citizens and giving it to illegal people so you can set them up to vote. It's the Democrats now who are filing these lawsuits saying that even though these are illegal people, as long as they're in the United States and got a driver's license, they should be able to vote. This is what the Democrats say. Yeah, we know that they're here illegal. We know that they've never invested into the country, but we're going to give them y'all money anyway. We're going to tell them that they got rights. We're going to tell them you can take over the Black community and they can do whatever that they want to do as long as they can vote. And the American people should be asking themselves, what's wrong with having an ID to go in and prove that you are U.S. citizens for voting that is for U.S. citizens only?
Exactly. Yeah, because in California, they're trying to, I think they passed a law where you don't even have to have an identification to vote. Are you serious right now? That's what they're doing. And then on top of that, they want to say, well, we have, fair elections. You are allowing people to show up without identification.
Exactly.
Seriously? Stop that.
But see, that's what it was with the Democrats. They tried to create this country, a country with no structure. They tried to tear the structure of this country down and just make the American people accept anything that they said. Go ahead and accept the illegals in. So what? Y'all can't do nothing about it. That's how it was. Their attitude was, yeah, they stuck with us for 4 years. And if we could steal another 4 years out of them, if they had stole, because they had no way to win it, if they had stole another election, if Kamala Harris was the president right now, this country would be at civil war.
Oh yeah, but that's what they want.
That's what they
Because
wanted.
they actually really, with the whole thing with the Tesla dealerships and just the different protesting they're doing, they're kind of wondering like, well, where's the counter protest, right? Why aren't people out here protecting these, Tesla dealerships? I know that's kind of like the backhand of it, and it's like, because it's insured, because it'll all be taken care of. We don't need to put our necks on the line for you being destructive. But I think the one thing that really upsets me is they keep bringing up January 6th as if that's a juxtapose to what people are doing to these dealerships, and it's not. These people causing the vandalism that they're causing and actually harming other people, because some of these dealerships there have been gunshots gone through these dealerships. So it's not just burning up cars, like they're literally putting people in harm's way. That's not January 6th. January 6th was they were protesting their rights and saying that there was a failed election, that the election was wrong, that it was stolen. They were very specific with that. Okay, and it did get out of hand. And there are people that actually, January 6th, defendants, and some of them said like, yeah, it shouldn't have gone as far as it did. But guess what? There were other people involved. They did actually purposely destroy evidence. You don't destroy evidence if you're in the right. Let's just talk about that. But what's going on with these Tesla dealerships, and it's been encouraged by the Democratic Party to be destructive, that's wrong. And that should never be. It's one thing to, get out there. You can protest whatever you want as long as you peacefully protest, but you should never be destroying people's property, threatening people, telling people you better not buy a Tesla, running people off of the road. That's not protesting. Okay, we need to really get our heads around what protesting is and what it isn't. That's what it's not.
Well, compared to January 6th, and I, like I said, I saw the footage, the real footage that Tucker Carlson had. We saw that. Yeah. And there was a lot of fabrications going on. There was a lot of editing of the footage and all of that kind of stuff, man. So that was cruel right there, that you used that pretentious, supposedly trying to tear the government down, to lock people up who really saw that the country was going in the wrong direction with what they were doing, and they were protesting their rights. But to be able to go out and to elicit violence against Tesla dealers and people who own cars. A lot of people don't even care about Elon Musk and what's going on. They just see a nice car and they're buying it. They should not be penalized, or their lives should not be put in jeopardy, because what the Democrats are doing now, they're just spewing violence.
Yeah,
they're lying to the American people, and they're lying to their party members, making them think that, well, you know what, you guys need to go out and y'all need to riot against Tesla dealers the same way that that Black Lives Matter did against George Floyd.
Yeah.
See,
and
those are the tactics that they're using.
Yeah. And they started, I would watch Alex Jones, and they just deemed it and called it the Summer of Love. Are we going to have one of those again? Are we going to have another Summer of Love, where they're really trying to find a narrative to cause violence during the summertime? And it's very repetitive, and it's one of their vehicles that they use to say, look at these races, look at this, look at that. And I'm like, this is all you guys have left, is trying to get us into martial law. Like that's it. That's all you have. And the conservatives are not taking the bait. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
they're just not.
And the American people, please, this is all part of the psychological warfare. When we talked about, Doc, on a previous show, how they're using these tactics, that used to work. It used to work back in the day with Black people, and Black people would get all emotional like this as well. They cut the DEI program out. Black people, we need y'all to come out and just raise hell and do this.
Right.
Well, we've been showing it, and Black people now are researching to find out that the DEI program had nothing to do to benefit Black people.
Right.
Because out of 7 steps, Black people on the last step, so you got to go through 7 other people before it even gets to us. So I feel that the American people have awakened to act exactly who's trying to do something good and who's not trying to do something good. And we can see right now where our country was at and all the executive orders that President Trump has had to file to try to get the country back to a place where it used to be, where the American people were first, our economy was first in the world, that we had intelligent children in our school system. We're trying to get the country back to that level where parents have their rights again so that they can raise their children and not have to worry about the government making mandates that your child need to know about being a lesbian or a bisexual at the age of 5.
Yeah. It's horrible. And that's, a lot of people might sit there and laugh like, oh, that's not happening. It's like, no, it's happening, and even my husband and I were having a conversation about it the other day. He goes, until, President Trump had to put in some of these executive orders, you and I used to talk about this stuff and I would be like, this stuff isn't happening. It was, no, it's happening. I'm like, yeah, it is. They are literally trying to destroy our country, and they have to start with the youth because that is the future of our country.
Yes. And that's what they did under this past 4 years in the school system. They indoctrinated the children. Then they did not teach them about math or science or any of the other things to make them good, productive citizens. They taught them how to be social bugs, how to be unsure of your puberty if you're a man or a girl. They put all this psychological stuff in the kid's head to try to make them think that they need to go, I need to have a sex change at 5 years old so that I could be on chemicals and medicines the rest of my life. Okay.
Yeah. The COVID's the pandemic. Well, we'll just call it that.
Was the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was the pandemic.
It actually is one of those things. Well, what the devil meant for evil, God meant for good, because parents up until that time had no idea what their children were being taught. And when they found out, they raged. And that's where they started to see a lot of this stuff, because up until then, parents really didn't know. And now, even in certain states, like I live here in Georgia, they are having to make laws to protect the rights of parents.
Same thing here in Illinois.
Parents actually know what's going on with their children, because in states like California, there are laws that literally state once your children pass that threshold, that they don't have to communicate with the parents anymore. They can do whatever they want to your kid, and you don't have a right as their parents to know what's happening to them. I mean, that's pedophilia on its face.
That is the same thing here in Illinois.
Yeah.
They're doing the same thing. They've taken parents' rights to not be able to have a decision on what their children should be learning. These are all the underhanded laws. And I'm telling parents, you need to get to the schools and you need to start looking at the curriculum that they're teaching your children. Take the time out and do that, because that's where you're going to find out what they're teaching your child, because with the way that they're indoctrinating children now, and by the time a child gets 10 or 12 years old, it's going to be totally confused about who it is and what they are. And so parents, you cannot trust the school system. You have to go to these meetings. You have to have your children to bring their books home or show you on the computer what they are being taught, because here in Illinois, they're telling the children, if they think that they can take this child out of your home and say that this child, I'm a boy, but I want to be a girl, then they can start grooming your child to become a boy if it's a girl. All of these things can be done behind the parents' back.
Yeah.
That's part of the law that they created in order to steal your child psychologically, to make these transformers in their mind and then physically. So that law is here in Illinois.
Yeah, but the good thing is that with getting rid of the Department of Education, they no longer have any financial backing for that. So
Yes.
now the parents actually do have some recourse, to your
Well,
point, to go in and say,
yes.
we don't want this for our kids.
Exactly. And see, that was the thing with the Department of Education. A lot of parents didn't know that. That was a good
Hmm.
thing because that gave you your parental rights back, because now the states didn't have that cushion to blame the Department of
Yes.
Education,
Yep.
saying, well, they want this curriculum. If you want to keep your milk vouchers going, and if you want to
Hmm.
keep the free food going, you
Right.
have to let your child do this. And if you don't, they'll
Hmm.
cut that off.
Right.
See,
It's gone.
that, yep. And
It's
so that's
gone.
what they were doing. All this is psychological warfare that they've used to control the American people, especially the Black community, man.
Hmm.
Our community is suffering greatly because with the psychological warfare becomes even Black folks who are working against Black folks.
Yeah.
And that right there, to the grassroots Black people who are out here and trusting the politicians, they are not working at your best interest.
No,
If
they're
you
not.
go out of your door and you can see that the community is dying, you can see that there's illegals moving in houses and stuff that Black people should be living in. You can see that the aldermen and the wards here in Chicago are not doing anything to create economic development, nor are they doing anything to help the Black community rebuild. If you are
Yeah.
not seeing any rebuilding or any economics in your community, then the aldermen are not doing the job that they're supposed to do. And their
Mhm.
job is to increase economics, to look out for the seniors in these wards, to ensure that our schools, that parents still make decisions on what the kids learn. Chicago, to the residents of Chicago, you are not seeing these things because these things are not going to happen for you because you are not asking questions. And as
Mm.
long as you don't ask questions and hold these aldermen and city people accountable, they're going to go behind your back. They're going to continue to try to house the illegals, which they're taking out dollars and doing. They're going to continue to have the schools so inundated that the children don't learn anything. And that's what I'm saying to the Black community. This is our time to wake up, do the research, and find out who the real enemy is, and then you'll know how to take the appropriate actions to save your children and save
Yeah.
yourself, Doc.
Yeah. And you know, you're so correct. And I'm really glad that what's happening is happening, especially with the Board of Education at the
Mm-hmm.
federal level, that they dismantled it. And a lot of people are like, oh no, what's going to happen to these programs? Some of those programs are actually going to stay in place, but they're going to be in their right locations. Like with the food programs, it'll be under the Department of Agriculture.
Right.
With some of the, I know there was a program for special needs children. Right now, I think that's supposed to report to the State Department until they determine if they want that into maybe the Department of Interior, or to roll up to one of the other departments that are a staple
Mm-hmm.
within the governmental agencies. You know, and the other thing I wanted to also bring up is, you know, there are a lot of people by the thousands who have lost their jobs in the federal government level. But just understand, there are over 2 million people that just work for the executive branch. That's not the legislative branch. It's not the judicial branch. That's just under the president, a little over 2 million. And he's cut less than 100,000 jobs. So when we hear like 10,000 people, I'm not trying to belittle the number, but what I'm saying is those number of people, they can reapply for positions within the federal
Exactly.
government that are in other places, because yes, if they have an expertise to work in an area, they may be better utilized in another department than they
Now,
were at the department they were in.
I want the American people and patriots across this country to understand this is not the first time that
Right.
the federal government has made cuts.
Hmm.
Because when Bill Clinton was the president of the
Yeah.
United States, he
Yeah.
did a RIF, and that's called a reduction in force.
Yes.
And in that reduction in force, they contracted out a lot of the agencies because a lot of the agencies had so many people that were just sitting around the water cooler, not really
Mhm.
doing nothing or earning a
Right.
paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I watched it. I mean, I watched it myself when I worked for the federal government. Every morning I hated getting up at 6, being at the job at 6, and coming in there with an overload of work. And I see guys who were there that came, and they were only coming to work just so they could laugh and talk and finish out retirement time, or if they was going to another division. These people never really got off their butt and did work.
Yeah.
And the people that actually did do the work had to carry their load, because if you got people on your team not doing nothing, when it comes down to when you have to turn the project over, you got to figure, have you done your part? Well, you know, I got a few more days. Now you got to try to jump in there and get him up to speed to meet the time frames. So he's the only doing things that are right for us, that we don't need a lot of people sitting around the government. And in a reduction in force, they're not going on the street. So to these people who was ripped out of these U.S. aid positions, you still are allowed to go and apply for other jobs to use your expertise in other agencies.
Yes.
So these people are not going to go home and sit on the couch the rest of their lives. They're going to be rearranged and reassigned to other divisions to work. That way they can keep their tenure, they can keep their pay raises and their steps and all of that. But again, this is the psychological warfare. If Bill Clinton did it 30 years ago, and now President Trump is doing it presently, and it's needed more than it was now, we should be happy as Americans that he is getting rid of all of this unused money, because America's a corporation and we are stockholders. So we should be getting dividend checks every year from the United States of America, because our country is doing good. See, that's the trick right there.
Oh yeah. It's like, and I said it to one person, I was like, you know, if I'm a shareholder, I want my cut, you know,
I want my dividends.
But again, we do have people in government that don't view us that way, and they've been treating people as slaves, debt slaves, economic slaves, you know. And so that's the bigger conversation that we need to have, because the crazy part is the party, I'm not gonna, you know, vocally say who it is, that's always screaming about slavery. They're the worst ones, making the economic disparagement in the Black community specifically, right? And they'll pour on people and they'll do all these things to downtrodden the Black community, but at the same time, they'll want to blame the Black community for being in the position that they're in. And it's like, okay, no, you cannot put me in this position and then blame me for not having a way out.
No.
There has to be, you know what I'm saying? You gotta give. And I just really think this last round of illegal immigration, it really wake people up to see that, yes, these people will try to destroy you, and at the same time demand your support, and you really need to make a decision.
Well, you know, that to me right now, and to two Black folks out here, we have to be thinkers now. We have to really be thinkers about, especially to young Black people. You know, I have a lot of young Black men that work out with me in the morning time, man, and I'm so proud of them. They watch the show. I'm proud of them because now they having concerns. See, they've been voting democratically because of their parents. And now they have children. You guys, to the young Black men and women, you have children out here that's going to grow into this country. So now you need to be concerned about the future of the country in the direction that it's going in. And I'm so proud of these young Black men who have, I'm an independent, but I say this, they are starting to ask questions.
Good.
And that's the most important thing. They're saying, well, if the Democrats are supposed to do this for us, why is it not being done? And yet the things that they say they're going to do, they're not doing. And the things that they say other parties are going to do, that party is not doing it. And so when you start asking questions, you start to research. And so these young men now are researching, they're coming back saying, Pastor, you know what? I saw what you said. They're finding out who the real enemy is. But I'm here to tell you, Pastor David is here to tell you, I'm not a Democrat, nor am I a Republican, but I see righteousness, and I don't see any righteousness out of the Democratic Party. They have not helped rebuild the Black community.
I know.
They have not brought economics to the Black community. And then if you think I'm lying, look outside your window. But more importantly, look at how they paid for the illegals to come take the Black community and squat and live and tell Black people, no, we don't have reparations, but you're giving them $5,000 and $10,000 a month of taxpayer money to live
Right.
and take your businesses. Doc?
Right. And they still are. You know,
Yes.
I'm waiting for the Social Security Administration to take all those people off of the dole, that list that I shared a
Yes.
couple of weeks ago. Like, they all need to be cut off immediately. I'm so grateful, for the research that Doge has been doing with Elon Musk. And I came across something, I can't recall everything right now, but they actually came across something else within the Social Security numbers that they found. I guess they found an increase of people that were added to Social Security. Well, we know some of them were added because of that list that I shared a couple of weeks ago, but they were also finding the duplicative Social Security numbers that had been added to the rolls. And those may be the people that were dead or over,
Yes,
200 years
100 years
old
old.
or whatever. But they saw that bump and increase in people
Yes.
added to Social Security. Also finding out how fraudsters were calling the Social Security office and having the money rerouted to another account because they had the right information on people. They were
Yes.
able to actually siphon off their monies. And these are the things that Doge is finding. And for the Democrat Party to be against finding
Yes.
this waste, fraud, and abuse makes absolutely no sense. It's like, whose side are you on?
Right.
Honestly.
Because Doc, and this is what common sense means. This is what this show is about. This show is about making you ask questions. This show is about activating your common sense, because we can see what the Democrats are doing. Why would you get now, as a taxpayer, as American citizens, why would our politicians not welcome an audit to show where our taxpayer dollars are being spent? Every taxpayer in the United States should be wanting to know where their dollars are going. We got families living from check to check, and they're paying their taxes. And the people that we have in office are taking our tax dollars and diverting it in other places and stealing it and putting in their pockets. And you can see that it's not going to the community because the community is not prospering or changing or getting economically sound. So we should want and accept whatever President Trump is doing, these audits. We should want to know where our money is going, Doc.
Yeah, we should demand it.
And it should, the Democrats and the Republicans, both parties should want to know where the money is going. Because Democrats, y'all paying taxes too. Don't you want to know if your money is going to the right place?
Yeah.
You should want to know. But see, that's how you tell who's doing the right thing and doing the wrong thing. Because if you're doing the right thing, you're going to say, yeah, I want to know where my money at. But if you're doing the wrong thing, you're going to do what we're seeing that the Democrats are doing, saying, we don't want you to know about this. Well, we don't want you going into USA because we stealing money out of there. They are crying because they're getting caught. They're getting exposed. So don't even buy into this whole thing about the tariffs. I'm going to play this clip right quick, Doc, about the tariffs, because I want the American people to really understand this. And I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. As an American citizen, after the 4 years of the Democratic leadership and the Biden administration and what happened to us, I'm telling the American people and patriots across this country, stop. Think about what we just went through the last 4 years. Let President Trump, who is a strategist, he is a business strategist, and he is using these tariffs to force American companies to come back to the United States. He's using these tariffs to make foreign countries pay up what they should pay up because our goods are not being put into these countries. And if they are, the tariff is so high. So why should China have the opportunity to sell their products over here and make money off the American people and send the money back to China, and the American goods and products are not even being sold in China?
Right, right.
So
True.
that's what I'm saying. So we have to really understand that the Democrats who have been working with China and all these other countries that are disrespecting us, now that we have a real president in office that are saying, you know what? Yeah, okay, guess what? Since y'all ain't been paying, it's time for you to pay.
Yes.
And that's what they're trying to do. Scare the American people, think the economy is going to recess. Hell, we already in a recession with Joe that Joe left us in.
Yeah.
So let me play this clip, Doc.
Considering that and coming forward and wanting to be right out of the gate, Jan, to negotiate with the president. President Trump's auto tariffs officially took effect at midnight after that major announcement yesterday afternoon, with at least 10% tariffs on dozens of foreign countries. Trump's 25% auto tariffs covers more than $460 billion annually worth of imports of vehicles and other parts. It's only the tariff on vehicle imports now in place, with nearly 150 auto parts facing a May 3rd to take effect. And now we're seeing these reports of other countries talking about negotiating, right? Like Ontario's Premier Doug Ford. Take a listen to what he had to say.
We'd be willing to take those off tomorrow if he took all the tariffs off. We're willing to take these tariffs off like in the next minute if he said he's taking their tariffs off.
Thailand's prime minister says, quote, "We have prepared several steps, including sending our permanent secretary to talk with them. I think we can still negotiate." And the deputy finance minister is saying we have to talk about which products they feel are unfair, and we have to see whether we can adjust. The Italian prime minister says she's going to do everything she can do to move forward with an agreement. Ireland's deputy prime minister saying he is committed to working with the president as well. Australia's prime minister condemned these tariffs, but says he is not going to reciprocate and he will negotiate. The European Union is now reacting too.
We have always been ready to negotiate with the United States to remove the remaining barriers to transatlantic trade. At the same time, we are prepared to respond. We are already finalizing the first package of countermeasures in response to tariffs on steel. And we're now preparing for further countermeasures to protect our interests and our businesses if negotiations fail.
And we will keep tracking all the latest reaction to Trump's tariffs as several world leaders are expected to hold news conferences today. We'll bring you those updates both on air and online.
Doc,
Yeah.
now,
Well,
go ahead.
well, they've gotten used to having their cake and eating it too.
Yes.
Simply said, they've
Yes.
gotten used to that. They've really gotten used to us not only paying for their products,
Yes.
but getting in return protection from our military, because some of these
Yes.
countries do have military installations funded by our government. And on top of that, we pay other and an extra on, on top of the tariffs we're paying. Stop. This is
Yes.
not fair. And Trump has noticed, he was like, hey, this isn't fair. So even if we are there on a military front, okay, that's free protection, right?
Right.
So you're getting free protection. If we're going to pay these tariffs, okay, great. Then you're going to have to pay them because they
Exactly.
weren't paying them. And I need people to understand it, because people act like, oh, these countries were. No, they weren't.
They weren't paying
They're
nothing.
sending their stuff over here and
For
we're
free.
buying their stuff and they're getting our money, but they're not paying any tariffs. Okay. We send our stuff over there and they charge us a tariff, but we're not, and nobody's buying our products because they're more expensive, because
More
there's
expensive.
a tariff on it. Right.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it's just that reciprocal part that we need to get there and stop trying to be daddy Warbucks and buy
Yes.
everybody's lunch.
Well, you know what, and that's the whole thing, and that's why I put this out here, and that's why we talk on this show in detail about things, because what President Trump has done, just like they're saying, now they ready to negotiate. Under Joe Biden, they didn't care because Joe didn't care, and he let them do what they wanted to do because they was all taking money under the table.
Yep.
these countries was paying them cash, and then they was treating us like we owed them something. See, only thing Trump is doing is coming and saying, if you guys got tariffs, we want tariffs too. And now that they have to pay to sell their goods in this country, it's the Democrats now who are trying to tell people and scare people like these tariffs ain't going to work. But as we see, these leaders are saying, okay, we know it's no more free lunch now.
Right.
We know that Joe is gone, and we're going to have to ante up and do right by the American people in this country so that we can still do business. And what President Trump is doing, looking out for the best interest of this country by forcing American companies to come back home and forcing these foreign countries to pay tariffs on their goods. And if they don't pay tariffs, then their goods should not be over here. If our goods can't be in their country at the same level, Doc.
Yeah, and the thing about it is we have to figure out a way to make it stick, because there are foreign leaders out there that are like, okay, well, under this leadership, there's tariffs. Is that going to be under the following leadership? Is the next president that comes in going to toe this same line? Or is this just going to be, we're making this change and this is how it's going to be going forward? So as a country, we really have to put the pressure on our elected officials to stay this course and say, you are not going to go back and start just giving our lives away anymore. People are going to have to pay their fair share. If you bring something here to this country, you're going to have to pay the tariff. Now, how much that tariff is going to be a fair exchange. If you're doing 10%, we can do 10%, right?
Exactly.
But you're not going to do 2% and then we're doing 25%.
Exactly.
Right. And it's that part.
And that's good for our country. And that's the type of leadership that we need to negotiate these things so that the American people won't continue to deal and not be able to see any reciprocal. Because under this pass, we didn't get nothing back in. Everybody just took from America, took from the taxpayers, charged us gas prices. That's why gas prices was $9 a gallon and all that kind of stuff. Now that we have a president that's going to do the right thing, we need to stand by him. And I'm telling the American people and patriots, especially Black people, don't get caught up with all this crying and this feeling so sorry for these Black leaders who've been in office for years and never did enough for the Black community.
No.
And now they're being exposed on not doing nothing, and all the backdoor deals that they've made against the American people have made. Well, they have been doing nothing. They've continued to cry. It's time for the American people to call for accountability against these Black leaders. What have you done? What are you doing? And why haven't the Black community prospered since you've been in office all these years and you say that you love and you work for the Black community? I want to play this clip, Doc, and we got to get out of here.
Okay.
And this clip is about some Black leaders who now no longer are able to hide and lie and fool the American people like they're helping us when they're not.
Republicans removed Congresswoman Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee. Another example of House Republicans putting the show ahead of any kind of policy agenda.
A blatant double standard is being applied here. And what is the difference between Rep. Omar and these members? Could it be the way that she looks?
It's a political stunt, and it is a disservice to the American people.
What a hideous miscarriage of justice. A majority power exercising influence over House committee assignments. Wow. And right on cue, squad members tried to outrage one another with their faux outrage. Wow, a striking vocal similarity.
The white supremacy happening is unbelievable. This is just a bunch of racist gaslighting. We all know it.
They turn Congress into a place of fear-mongering hate. I am so sorry, sis, that our country is failing you today through this chamber. You belong in that committee.
My voice will get louder and stronger, and my leadership will be celebrated around the world as it has been.
Go back home.
That's all I got to say.
So utterly disingenuous.
I'm on that. I'm on that time.
Go back home.
Because
go back home.
You know what? You should be deported for marrying your brother.
Yes.
For committing immigration fraud. Like I want her dog walked and sent to El Salvador. That's what I want.
You know what, Doc?
Okay, I want her in prison.
This is the perfect example. This is what I'm talking about. to the American people and patriots across this country, especially black listeners. You see how black people are coming up saying that this is racist, this is that, this is so wrong what they're doing in Congress, because these squad members have been here illegally, really, and they should have been deported and they should have not been in our government.
Period.
But the point that I'm making is this. Every time something happens, they try to activate black people like this is so racist.
Right.
They're doing, Trump is doing this and doing this. Well, black people, this is what I want you to remember every time you hear somebody say some racist is going on. Why was not these same black people? Why was not Ilya Omar screaming? Why was not Jasmine Crockett, whatever her name is? Why have not the black political leaders across the country been screaming their asses off about this invasion of illegal aliens that was directed at the black community?
Right. Because it was part of the plan. It was part of the replacement migration plan. There was a plan to oust black people. So you want to use us like emotional support pets.
Yes.
And treat us like the side chick. But when you need us, it's like, come on, show up. We need you. We need you to champion this for us. First of all, Ilhan Omar is not a black American. She is a Somalian.
Yes.
She is a naturalized citizen, but she got it illegally, and she married her brother to get his citizenship. So she's committed crimes, plural. Then she actually taught people how to evade ICE. So she was impeding a federal investigations. Another crime. She not only needs to be stripped of her title in Congress, removed from Congress, she needs to be deported back to her country. Period. It needs to happen, because if it doesn't happen, then there's something wrong with the laws in our country. And we're okay with people getting away with criminal behavior. Period.
And that's the point that I really want to express to black people is they sitting up into this Congress and they're crying and they're hollering about racism and they're hollering about how wrong this is because she done got kicked off the Foreign Relations Committee because she's not really an American citizen.
No.
But the point that I'm making is this. What about the black community that they supposed to represent?
Right.
What about us? You don't see them crying about illegals in our community and they giving them houses and cars and money. And you don't see them crying about that. Why haven't the black leadership in the black cities, the politicians, been crying and says, we don't want these illegals because they're in the black community committing crime and killing people and doing all of this stuff? Why haven't our black leadership said that this is wrong, it needs to stop, and we need to uplift the black community, Doc? Why has that not happened?
Because they've been against the black community. It's one of those things a long time ago, somebody said, you know, if you're given the illusion of choice, you believe that you have it. And here's the thing, we have free will, right? Which some people might say is choice, but we have free will. And we do have the will to call people to do what we want them to do. But our free will is to do what's right or what's wrong. And right now, they have sold their souls, period.
Yes.
And they've sold out the black community because they use our plight and they use it to progress other people.
Yes.
And it's been constant in this country ever since the Reconstruction of our country. See, Reconstruction was supposed to be a time where, okay, we can all live freely, whether you're black, white, whatever race you are, and we're not concerned about race. We just want to live amongst each other peacefully. But unfortunately, they did let go of the Confederate Army, right? And then we did have the Jim Crow laws. But after that harm, people were like, oh, we can actually use these harms in a way to progress other groups. Yes. And that's how it's been used for decades. And it needs to stop. Like I said, black people, we're tired. We are tired of being your emotional support pets. We're not. Stop using Martin Luther King as a place to stand on when you want to talk about, you know, this is about not the color of your skin, but the content of your character. If it's really about your character, then get it on your own.
Well,
Get
you
it
know,
on your character. Don't bring me into your conversation. That's all I'm saying.
if people really cared about Dr. King and the movement that Dr. King made, then they would be doing righteous work now that they are in positions to help the Black community. Black leaders now should be concerned if they care about Dr. King, and that's why I said it's so fake that they're using his name, because Dr. King actually cared about the Black community. He put his life on the line and was taken to uplift the Black community. And so if these politicians were concerned about helping us and concerned about how Dr. King would feel right now, if Dr. King was alive right now, he would be in totally horror of the fact of how the Black leadership has sold the Black community down the road. Doc, your last words, we got to get out of here.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us, and just look out for our app. It's going to be Let the Truth Be Told. It'll be on iOS and Android, and we'll let you know when that drops and launches. And we're also launching the new network. Hopefully we'll be up and running by the middle of this month. I'm just so grateful for Pastor Lowery and everything that we've been doing in the community. And as I always state, you know, when you see all these things happening, make sure you look up for your redemption is drawing near. And please check out the Redemption Party at usaredemptionparty.com. We are looking for candidates to be servants of the people, not politicians, and also members of our party to carry on the movement around the United States. So that's usaredemptionparty.com.
Have a good evening, Doc, and we'll talk soon. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning into the show. I ask that you share it around. Go to our sites if you don't catch the show, and take a look at the rerun, and believe me, share it around and get a good understanding. These are my last words. To the American people and patriots across this country, what we saw the last 4 years, you know it was horrible for us. President Trump has been in less than 90 days, and he's making this country get back to the place where we had our freedoms of speech. We had a Second Amendment where we could carry our arms. He is returning our country back to the way it was before it was all upset. So I'm asking the American people and patriots across this country, especially Black people, take the time, allow President Trump to do what he needs to do, allow him to continue to use Doge to uncover all the fraud, waste, and abuse, which he is doing. Every American and taxpayer should want to know where their dollar's going. Let us support that. Let us support the tariffs that he's doing, because we should not be spending money for other people's products and they not spend the same kind of money for our products. So let us be patient, let us watch, and let us do the things that we need to do as far as getting into local elections, voting out some of the politicians on the local level, like here in Chicago and across the country, these blue states. We got to get those people out of office who have done nothing for the community but be parasites. And these are my last words. Let us become one America again, one great nation under God, so that we